mining space as part of incentives by the federal government to attract new investors. This is in addition to the signing of a memorandum of understanding with Morocco and China to leverage on the state-of-the-art technology for a rapid development of the sector. He said government projects an 8.54% growth rate for the sector by the year 2025.
We are currently working with the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and others to assemble, as we just heard from the Director General of the Stock Exchange, a $600 million investment fund for the sector. Internationally, we have secured $150 million in funding from the World Bank for the mineral sector support for economic diversification, the MSSED, or MINDIVER.
Acting President called for closer collaboration from regional government to develop and harness wealth of the continent's mineral resources. Now to some cheering news. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo has signed into law the 2017 budget of over 7.44 trillion naira, bringing to an end months of speculations over the budget status, tagged Budget of Economic Recovery and Growth. Acting President Osinbajo says it is a milestone that will change the face of the nation's economy. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The 7.44 trillion naira budget of recovery and growth is over 140 billion naira higher than the amount presented to the National Assembly by President Muhammadu Buhari in December last year. Acting President Yemi Osinbajo, who formally signed the budget, said it provides a clear roadmap towards bringing the economy out of recession and placing it on the path of sustainable and inclusive growth.
Our economy is already signaling a gradual recovery as growth is headed towards positive territory. Our path to progress and abundance is clear. The tools are in place, and the resilient, resourceful, and hardworking Nigerian people are set to go. I have no doubt that by the grace of God, the bleakness of recession is about to witness the uplifting dawn of abundance.
Over 2.1 trillion naira of the budget, the acting president said, goes for capital development, specifically in the provision of critical infrastructure, while 2.98 trillion naira is for recurrent expenditure. He said some recoveries made in the fight against corruption had been included in the budget, whose implementation will trigger activities in the domestic economy for job creation and more opportunities for employment.
We are focusing on 5 key execution priorities, namely 1, stabilizing the macroeconomic environment, 2, agriculture and food security, 3, energy sufficiency, especially in power and petroleum products, 4, improved transportation infrastructure, and 5, industrialization through support for micro, small, and medium-scale enterprises. For instance, we are committing over 200 billion to improve transportation infrastructure, such as roads and rail, and over 500 billion for investments in works, power, and housing, and 46 billion for our special economic zone projects to be set up in each geopolitical zone.
While commending the cooperative spirit exhibited by the National Assembly leadership, Professor Osinbajo mandated ministries, departments and agencies to spend more of their budgets on locally produced goods. Senate President Bukola Saraki assured Nigerians that the 2017 budget will meet their aspirations for national growth and development.
If we can maintain the success of 2016, the percentage of capital implementation, that is good for Nigerians. The second most important part, which I really think is key, is the drive for Made in Nigeria to ensure that government agencies give first option to Nigerian companies. That will mean more jobs for our people and also be able to save on foreign exchange. And then continue to drive on agriculture and diversification. So it's great news for Nigerians today.
Both the executive and leadership of the National Assembly have agreed to, among others, the reinstatement of budgetary allocations for important projects like the second Niger Bridge, the railways, and Mambila Power Project, while the next appropriation bill is to be submitted by October this year for passage before the end of December. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the exercise of the power of appropriation of the National Assembly has continued to generate controversy between executive and the legislature, with each claiming the constitutional right over the contents of the budget. Joy Uzo reports that former Speaker of the House of Representatives Gali Omar Naaba and other guests dealt with the power of appropriation on Good Morning Nigeria.
Although the 2017 budget has been signed into law by the acting president Yemi Osinbajo, the contention over the power of appropriation between the executive and the legislature leaves much to be desired. Experts on Good Morning Nigeria say this ought not to be, since the constitution clearly spells out the appropriation powers of the National Assembly, and both arms are working for the common good of the country and its people.
The constitution has clearly indicated that any money that is going to be spent by the executive on behalf of the whole nation for the purposes of development must be approved by the National Assembly. Therefore, you don't bring a document to the legislature and the legislature just stamps it and take it back to you. I think this is abnormal.
We must act in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution.
The guests were of the opinion that the thrust of appropriation lies in ensuring sustainable development for Nigeria and Nigerians. However, misplaced priority, most times driven by other considerations, have truncated the sustainable development Nigerians yearned for over the years.
That is why democracies, for centuries now, have given power to the representatives of the people, the direct representatives of the people, to decide what has to be spent and where it has to be spent, because they are answerable to their various constituents.
All this issue, it's just unfortunate that we always seem to place politics over policy and law. Our law is so clear when it comes to that.
They enjoined the executive and the legislature at all levels to follow the law in the interest of all. In Abuja, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
In the meantime, the Senate has urged Ministry of Health at the federal and state levels to set up free and accessible mental health departments in all government hospitals and clinics across the country. This is with a view to improving Nigeria's mental health support system. Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who moved a motion to that effect, noted that treatment of mental health is expensive.
The Senate is reminded that the well-being of citizens is the primary duty of government. It is mindful that accessibility of mental health care will also ensure that the teeming number of psychology and psychiatry graduates across the country can put their knowledge to use and be gainfully employed.
Contributors to the motion called on Nigerians to look out for possible symptoms of depression and seek professional help when necessary. Now let's turn our attention to Switzerland, because the International Labour Organization ILO has challenged African leaders to equip its energetic young population with required skills and opportunities to enable them contribute to the economy and social development of the continent. This was during the Governing Council's meeting of the ministers holding in Geneva, Switzerland. Emmanuel Yemeru reports.
African Regional Labour Administration Center, ALAC, was established by the ILO in 1974. It is concerned with identifying and addressing fundamental issues that relate to social protection, economy, and development of member countries, which the conference says remain a challenge, which must be consciously addressed through partnership.
Need to leverage partnerships with other institutions will be critical as ALAC moves forward. Member countries must continue to take full ownership of ALAC and to invest their own resources in it to strengthen it.
The Ministry of Labour and Employment cannot afford to overlook the role of social welfare, which is so closely linked to employment to the extent that the two appear inseparable. The focus should now be directed towards development of skills.
Minister of Labour and Employment Chris Ngige says Nigeria will continue to implement Convention 102 of ILO on social security and decent jobs to attain the goals set by ALAC.
Nigeria has been practicing a lot of the tenets in that convention. We can take it that Nigeria is trying her best within the limited resources available to us, and we expect to do more.
The meeting agreed that labor force in Africa is far more than job creation. The need to address the mismatch was emphasized. From Geneva in Switzerland, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
And back home to the judiciary, where the National Judicial Council says, based on the records of its internal disciplinary actions, it is wrong for any individual or group to say that the nation's judiciary has not been in support of the government's fight against corruption. This is a reaction to the ongoing exchange between various arms of government on the recall of judges who were suspended following corruption allegations against them. Judiciary correspondent Femi Okewo reports.
From the executive arm of government, the reactions have been unanimous and firm. From Professor Ise Sage, chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption and Office of the Special Assistant to the President on Prosecution, it has been expression of disappointment.
So if a judge is tainted by a criminal allegation or is under investigation, then that judge has to step aside until it is completely clear.
But the National Judicial Council says the suspension of the judges in the first instance was a sign of the NJC's belief in the fight against corruption, just as the council has, since 2000 when it was inaugurated, dismissed or compulsorily retired judicial officers for gross misconduct or corrupt practices. On whether there was a pending appeal by the federal government at the time of the recall, the NJC says no appeal had been formally entered as at Saturday the 3rd of June when the recall was announced.
Justice is rooted in confidence, and confidence is brought about by people trusting the system.
The judiciary is one of the last bastions of stability for this country.
This exchange is yet to abate, a trend which observers say does not seem to add any value to the fight against corruption. If anything, they say the divided house seems to be undermining the fight more. In Abuja, Femi Okewo, NTA News.
In the meantime, trial could not commence as stated in the case of former Governor of Niger State, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, and the PDP gubernatorial candidate in the 2015 general elections, Umar Mohammed Nasco, as counsel to the second accused person, filed a preliminary objection challenging the jurisdiction of the court to try the case. Mukhtar Abubakar Wowo reports that the two were arraigned before the court in April 2017 for alleged breach of trust, conversion of over 4 billion naira of the state government fund to personal use.
We recalled that on the last adjourned date, a week was slated for the EFCC to present its case, but counsel to Umar Mohammed Nasco filed a preliminary objection last week Friday predicated on jurisdiction. The counsel told the court that he needed time to reply to the EFCC counter affidavit against his motion. The defense counsel also drew the attention of the court to the EFCC second amended charge that include the Niger State PDP chairman Tanko Beji urging the court to make an order that he should not be returned to EFCC custody.
There was an initial charge which was bad. As if it wasn't bad enough, they came and filed a process which they headed second amended charge.
The EFCC counsel, however, said that the issue before the court is the preliminary objection which he expressed readiness to argue, and opposed the oral bail application for Tanko Beji, saying he has not taken his plea before the court.
We had served them the processes on Thursday. We just wanted to include him in the charge and then proceed with the trial today.
But because of the issue, the notice of non-objection which they filed, there was no way we could deal with that one. That has to be determined first, because if the court rules that the procedure was wrong, it takes care of the issue of Tanko Beji.
Justice Muhammad Ali Umayaki ruled that the court has no power to make any order granting the Niger State PDP chairman Tanko Beji bail, and fixed the 16th of June 2017 for hearing of the preliminary objection. In Mina, Mukhtar Abubakaru, NTA News.
In other news, persons living with albinism in Nigeria are asking for an end to all forms of stigmatization, discrimination, marginalization and stereotyping against them. The group is also asking that education should be made free for all vulnerable people. Chimdiman Dubisi has more on these as the world marks 2017 International Albinism Awareness Day.
Because of my color, at times they'll say I can't defend myself.
I'm still job hunting. There are places I've applied. Those that we applied together have the opportunity of getting the job, and while I could not.
These experiences of 10-year-old Olivia and 34-year-old Matthew are typical examples of what persons living with albinism go through daily in Nigeria. According to the United Nations, over 2 million people are estimated to be living with albinism in Nigeria, making the country one of the nations with high prevalence rate. The condition is affected by the absence of enzyme producing melanin in the skin. Persons living with this condition are often susceptible to skin cancer, visual impairment, and death threats as they are hunted for ritual purposes in some countries.
Two types, ocular and oculocutaneous. Ocular meaning eye involvement alone. Oculocutaneous meaning the eyes and the skin. Avoid the sun when the heat of the sun is very high. The rays are very aggressive between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. Then, of course, they choose the right occupation. Then even we advocate that this thing should be started from when the child is very young.
As these individuals mark this year's International Albinism Awareness Day, they are building their confidence and advancing with renewed hope that a bill for establishing the Agency for Vulnerable Persons, which will cater for their needs, will be passed into law.
The bill had gone through first reading, second reading, and is at the final stage where it will be approved at the House of Rep, and then it goes to the Senate for concurrent, and then goes off to the presidency for assent.
The federal government, on its part, has been offering free skin cancer treatment for persons living with albinism only at the National Hospital. But the people are optimistic that more health centers will be designated for this purpose so as to reach many of them, especially at grassroots. In Abuja, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Well, you can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store. That's, of course, if you use devices with iOS. We are not done with Albinism Awareness Day just yet. Let's get more from our Lagos Network Center, where Demola is standing by. Demola, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Joseph, and welcome to Lagos. A 43-year-old woman, Aminat Akande, today appeared before the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos over distribution and sale of unregistered cream and soap. She was arraigned before Justice Ibrahim Buba of the court. Viera Chumoba has more.
The accused, Aminat Akande, who resides at number 1 Nta Street, Tokpe, Badagry, is standing trial on a 3-count charge bordering on importation, distribution and sale of unwholesome products. She is being prosecuted by the National Agency for Food, Drugs Administration and Control, NAFDAC. Akande has, however, pleaded not guilty to the charges. NAFDAC prosecutor Umar Shanki alleged that the accused committed the offense on the 23rd of November 2016 at the Trade Fair Complex, Lagos. He further alleged that the accused imported cosmetics products without due registration as stipulated by the law. Omar Shanki told the court that the sale of unregistered product is unwholesome and constitutes a punishable offense. Justice Ibrahim Buba granted the accused bail in the sum of 1 million naira with one surety in like sum. The court added that the surety must be a landed property owner within the jurisdiction of the court. Trial has been fixed for the 4th of October. In Lagos, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
The need for an effective protection and coordinated approach for the arrest and prosecution of people against albinos has been emphasized. This is against the background of the frequent attacks and discriminations on albinos across the globe. This was the crux of messages at the 2017 International Albinism Awareness Day celebrated in Lagos. Ime Udori compiled this report.
Non-contagious, genetically inherited condition that affect people the world over from birth. It results from lack of melanin in the air, skin, and eyes, causing vulnerability to the sun and bright light. It has been widely reported that persons with albinism are often discriminated against and sometimes hunted and physically attacked due to prevailing myth, especially in some parts of Africa. This informed the decision by the United Nations General Assembly in 2014 to set aside the 13th day of June every year to sensitize the world about the condition and bring to global attention issues surrounding albinism. This year, focus is on the rights of people living with albinism.
We know that in many countries, especially in sub-Saharan Africa, the albinos cannot go to school because of being bullied, because of their difference. The kids, when they are bullied, they fear to go to school. That's why we are creating awareness that governments should intervene. Parents should make sure their children go to school.
An NGO is also partnering with other relevant agencies to lend their voice to the global discourse on the education of the public, advocating for the rights of persons with the condition in Nigeria. Some of those with the condition say it's not a death sentence to be an albino.
God has made me, and I know that I'm beautiful, and I have what God made me for. So I don't feel shy.
Look at examples of people that are already grinding and making it for themselves. Say to yourself, I want to be like them, I want to embrace myself. So I'm telling the world today that I'm albino and I'm proud.
It is expected that the Awareness Day will reduce incidences of discrimination against albinos.
Officers and men of the 81 Division of the Nigerian Army have been charged to remain focused and committed in the discharge of their duties. The former General Officer commanding 81 Division, Major General Ebenezer Oyefolu, gave this charge when he handed over the mantle of leadership to Major General Peter Doke in Lagos. Amechi Pius reports.
That flag presentation and decoration of Major General Peter Dauke signaled a change of leadership at 81 Division of the Nigerian Army. The outgoing GOC, Major General Ebenezer Oyefolu, expressed gratitude to officers and men of the division for their support in the last 7 months.
Both officers and soldiers require their commanders to give leadership, to be very fair and fair.
The new GOC assured the officers of his desire to build on the achievements of his predecessor and provide effective leadership.
Is going to be determined by how well we put our heads together, how well we live together as a family. I will continue to appreciate his effort and I will continue to count on your cooperation.
Major General Peter Dauke, a graduate of psychology, was until his new posting the new General Officer commanding 3 Division of the Nigerian Army. In Lagos, Amechi Pius, NTA News.
Well, that does it from Lagos. It's back to you, Joseph, for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Damola, thank you very much indeed. The Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency has released the 2017 flood outlooks of Nigeria, putting 30 local government areas in 21 states on flood alert. Minister of Water Resources and Rural Development Suleiman Adamu said the predictions are to alert Nigerians living along waterways to vacate. Musa Babaliu has details.
Nigeria is expected to house over 280 billion cubic meters of surface water during and after this year's rainy season. As a result, rivers and waterways in Anambra, Benue, Cross River, Delta, Niger, Imo, Ogun, Osun, Sokoto and Yobe states have been predicted will overflow their banks.
You now see that the quantum of water on the surface of Nigeria is so much, and that is why everything must be done to harness this water and also allow the water to flow down the major channels and tributaries. And that here is where we as Nigerians have roles to play.
Prediction, as stated by officials of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, is for the prevention and mitigation as well as awareness on the flooding that may occur.
The information contained in it is for all Nigerians and must be communicated in good time to all and sundry in order to save lives and property from the effects of devastating flood that may occur, especially at the peak of the rainy season.
The Nigeria Meteorological Agency has earlier predicted that Nigeria will experience early onset and withdrawal of rainfall this year. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
To security matters now, interpersonal relation is a veritable tool for participating in internal and external military operations. This was part of the submissions of guests and participants at the 2016 2nd Guards Brigade Inter-Unit Short Talk Program. With 5 command units participating, the quarterly event is aimed at building the capacity of officers and men of the Nigerian Army in view of their critical role in internal and external global peacekeeping operations.
It's a quarterly event which is aimed at boosting the confidence of the troops in the art of public speaking, thereby highlighting their role in a unit setting. Very important for the troops of the Nigerian Army because of the involvement of the troops in international peacekeeping operation.
And the Defense Headquarters has set up a high-profile committee comprising of senior officers from the Nigerian Army, Navy, Air Force and the police to investigate the recent clash between the personnel of the Nigerian Navy and police in Calabar, Cross River State, which led to loss of lives and property. In a statement by the Director, Defense Information Major General John Enenche, the committee is mandated to recommend appropriate sanction to anyone culpable in the incident to prevent reoccurrence. The Defense Headquarters appeal to members of security and response agencies to embrace a team spirit in the discharge of their duties. So talking security matters, the Nigeria Police says it will continue to build on synergy already created with the Nigerian Air Force to promote unity among the service agencies, especially between their rank and file. This was at the flag-off of the second batch training for the Nigerian Air Force K9 personnel to be trained by the Nigeria Police Force K9 Department at the Police Dog Training and Breeding Center, Dede, Abuja. Assistant Inspector of Police Taiwo Lakanu, who represented the Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris, says the 12 weeks training or intensive training on dog handling for greater security against terrorism and high-level criminalities is timely.
Germane, very imperative and extremely necessary. Training of dogs is extremely essential. It will add to the capacity because sniffing out IODs and other necessary things will, assist in, getting rid of all these criminals in the Northeast.
Some of other highlights are the inspection of canine training units and treatment wards conducted by the Assistant Inspector General of Police Force Animal Branch, Charles Ugomo.
Facility is a world-class facility built by the Nigerian Police Force. The crime against insurgency, these are to be deployed there because these dogs sniff IEDs, they sniff arms and ammunition. They also sniff narcotics at the airport.
A dog can do what 20 people can do. And now when you look at it, what is the prohibitive cost for procuring and maintaining these devices that will be able to detect all these IEDs? It's so expensive. So we are left with nothing desireless or desirable than to go for the dogs.
Justice reports that the first batch of the Air Force K9 was held in August last year. Now, thank you very much indeed for staying with the NTA. Stay with us if you can. We have plenty more for you just ahead.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
Hi, my name is Arinde, and Nigeria is my country. A country of 180 million hard-working people. In more advanced countries like the UK, the US, Canada, lottery has produced billionaires in big lottery money. And several charities have gotten funding from lottery plays. If we all play lottery, we can together produce millionaires and billionaires in Nigeria. And that can be. With give and take, everyone who plays with little has equal opportunity of winning big money. Give and take. Win big, live your dreams.
TV Guide magazine is out with fabulous Fab Funke Akindele Bello, aka Jennifer, adorning the cover. She opens a secret not known even to her family. Find out the secret. NTA turns 40 this year. The challenges, the emerging trends in broadcasting, and the way forward. Weekend Dealer 2. Meet the team behind the biggest deal on NTA. Is food still the way to a man's heart? If not, what else? This edition is hot and juicy. Meet your star faces on screen. Entertainment, fashion, young minds, social media, and great personality.
This is idiosyncratic and heterodox.
Yes, Professor John Bull is on the radar. Find out what makes this program the rave of the moment on NTA Network. And for the prof,
over and out.
TV Guide. Ask your vendors or book your copy at every NTA station nationwide. TV Guide. Still your indispensable companion.
The program is a very laudable achievement on the part of the federal government and state government. Since the commencement of the program, the children are really doing fine. The vendors are wonderful. In fact, they are doing a good job. They usually come to school on time. They serve the children, they serve the puppies. The program has really helped the children because there are some puppies, they don't have access to balanced diet. With the commencement of this program, many lives have been touched. To have easy access to balanced diet, it has really helped the children a lot.
You're welcome back. You're watching NTA Nationwide. Minister of Health inaugurates projects at the University of Benin Teaching Hospital. For details of these and more, let's join Agatha in our Benin Network Center. Agatha?
Thank you, Joseph. Good evening and many thanks for joining us in Benin. The federal government says it is committed to improving healthcare delivery across the nation and will continue to invest in facilities and manpower to boost quality service delivery to patients. Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, was in Benin to formally inaugurate projects in the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, executed primarily from internally generated revenue.
Some of the projects commissioned by the minister include UBTH Fire Service, Block of Offices of Child Health, Children Emergency Complex, Mental Health Twin Hall, Block of Offices of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Others are Pathology and Anatomy Complex, Block of Offices of Family Medicine, Doctor Sleeping Room Building, as well as renovated X-ray Department with the state-of-the-art facility. They were built by the outgoing Chief Medical Director, Professor Michael Ibadin. The minister, who rated the project high in quality, said he has the vision of making the University of Benin Teaching Hospital a key player in the healthcare delivery, research and training in the Nigeria and Africa at large.
What we have seen today is a testimony to what he has done, and I don't think I should add more. Adding more will be just adding salt to a palatable stew. It will only make it bad. He's an excellent person, and I want to commend him for what he has been able to do.
They are the signature project of Professor Michael Ibadin, whose 8-year tenure as Chief Medical Director will end this Friday. In Benin, Frank Okonofwa, NTA News.
Edo State government wants corps members posted to the state to be committed to community development service, which might qualify them for the State Honors Award. This was Governor Godwin Obaseki's message at the closing of the 2017 Batch A-1 orientation course at Okada of Yanos East Local Government Area. Udwakobong Achibong reports that the Director General of NYC, Brigadier General Suleiman Kazauri, attended the event.
Governor Obaseki, who was represented by his deputy, Comrade Philip Shaibu, said the expectation of state government is for the corps members to contribute positively to the development of their host communities, avoid unauthorized journeys, and be part of the positive change, while calling on employers in the public and private sectors not to reject corps members posted to them. The governor assured of support for all NYSC programs in the state.
The strength of national cohesion is the vibrancy of the youth and the ability to explore areas that need growth and development in the society, and to try through hard work, dedication, loyalty, discipline, patriotism, and commitment to improve the lives of the people they come across.
The state coordinator, NYSC, Yusuf Baba Abdullahi, said over 75% of corps members have been posted to the rural areas where their services are mostly needed. He appreciated state government for its promise to complete the NYSC permanent orientation camp. Earlier, the DG NYSC, Brigadier General Suleiman Kauzare, visited the NYSC office in Benin, which is undergoing reconstruction. In Benin, Udrakobong Achibong, NTA News.
Governor Ifeanyi Okowa of Delta State has decried activities of illegal miners in Ozanogogo, Ika South local government area, who are exploiting the state without due process. This was while inaugurating some completed road projects across Ika South and Oshimili North local government areas.
Ensuring good governance and prosperity for all Deltans for Governor Ifeanyi Okowa means developing all nooks and crannies in the state. Hence his inauguration of several completed projects across the state. At Ozanogogo, the governor's birthplace, he inaugurated a 6-kilometer Olisimi-Ozanogogo road. For this gesture, the community named the road after him. It was like a homecoming for him as he took time to listen to the needs of his people in a town hall meeting, establishing a cottage industry in the local government to stop illegal mining of kaolin, employment of the youth, and keeping the environment safe from the menace of herdsmen is their priority.
The Ozanogogo community is a community that has a lot of kaolin deposits, and to a large extent is supposed to be a community that can add on to the economy of the state.
As the governor interfaced with the people, fixing the Laibu-Abuja Federal Government Road was one of their demands among a host of others expected to bet improved quality education and social amenities of potable water and electricity. The governor rounded off the visit with a check on rehabilitation work on the Asaba Airport runways, taxiways, and perimeter fences. Ifeoma Okafor, NTA News.
Now, there was palpable tension in Elele Uzaruwe, Isaka West local government area of Edo State, as women in their hundreds barricaded the Auchi Okene Abuja highway to protest the killing of a middle-aged woman, Mrs. Wilson Turner, by suspected herdsmen in her farm on Friday evening in the presence of her husband and children. Charles Daniel reports that the protesters want all herdsmen to vacate.
These residents took over the Trunk A road to protest the increasing cases of kidnap and killings within Uzaruwe by suspected herdsmen, apart from the pregnant woman who was shot dead in the presence of her husband and 2 kids in their farm at Elele. Another businessman, Mr. Peter Oba, also known as Pekoji, was abducted with another occupant of his vehicle killed on the spot.
Now the farm they get money, they throw my children, they carry cassava, go back at the chop, and not go to school. Now the farm will end. As the people men no one rise, so we will rise.
The remains of the deceased, popularly known as Mama Hope, have been deposited at a nearby morgue. The husband, Mr. Wilson Tuna, said he managed to survive the attack.
They didn't demand for anything. They didn't say this is what is happening. The next thing, they just shot her. They shot her and they say, "Come here."
The Iyamo division of the Nigerian police has already commenced investigation into the matter. From Elele, Edo State, Charles Daniel, NTA News.
And that's our package. Joseph has more on News Nationwide in Abuja. Good evening.
Agatha in a Benin Network Center there. Now a bit on politics. One of the newly registered political parties, Young Progressive Party YPP, has pledged to provide leadership founded upon social democratic principle and an all-inclusive governance. This was during the maiden press conference by the National Executive Committee of the party. Political correspondent Abdullahi Garba Kudu reports.
Young Progressive Party is one of the 5 newly registered political parties announced by INEC Wednesday last week. The press conference is to formally unveil what the party has for Nigerians. The national chairman, Bishop Emmanuel Amakuri, advised the young generation to take advantage of the new opening in the political space.
Innovation, current ideas, and modern technology to participate in political processes and form governance structure that will enhance progress, reforms, and sustainable development in our country.
The party added its voice, calling on all Nigerians to eschew ethnic bias and work towards the unity of the country. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
In a bid to reduce the cost of 2017 Hajj by intending pilgrims in Nigeria, the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs has suggested the need for federal government's concession with regards to the exchange rate of Naira to the US dollar. This was the recommendation at the committee's meeting with officials of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria and private tour operators. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu reports.
The continuation of the investigative hearing brought together officials of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, representatives of state pilgrim boards, and representatives of air carriers involved in Hajj operations.
The airfare is determined by the number of days.
Processes of getting the carrier involved is through an advertisement and bidding.
Hajj Commission has nothing to do with our accommodation in Makkah.
We chose our services, we chose our catchers and everything.
The topical issue that the committee sought explanation about is signing of Memorandum of Understanding on Saudi Arabia's traffic policy. The policy provides for Saudi Arabia to take some of the Nigerians intended pilgrims to the Holy Land, and this applies to pilgrims under the government quota worldwide, according to NAHACON.
No item contained in the Hajj fare is just fixed by the Hajj Commission without involvement of the state or without involvement of the tour operators, as the case may be.
The senators suggested a review of the components responsible for disparity of the Hajj fare between what was obtained last year and this year, as well as the breakdown of the components inclusive in this year's package, which they categorize as too high.
We will be able to satisfy our conscience and be able to show to Nigerians that we are here to represent them.
The committee also investigated a private tour operator who claimed to airlift intending pilgrims at the cost of 1,250,000 naira based on assumption. From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
The need for national unity re-echoes as Muslims keep faith with their spiritual exercise. Lami in Maiduguri brings us the details of these and other stories.
Very much. A warm welcome to you in Maiduguri. Borno State Deputy Governor Usman Mamandurpa has called on the people of the state to embark on evacuation of drainage in their neighborhood to prevent flooding. The Deputy Governor was speaking when he mobilized youths and other residents of his ward at Santal Marie Polo area of Maiduguri Metropolis to evacuate drainage. Yagum Subuka reports.
Deputy Governor Usman Mamandurka with youth defied the scourge of Maiduguri hot weather to engage in evacuating blocked drainages in his ward, Santal Marie. He said, as Borno State government is constructing roads and drainages all over the state, it is only pertinent for the people to complement its effort by evacuating the portion of their drainages, adding that provision of services should not be left in the hands of government alone. He appealed to the people to desist from dumping refuse in drainages so as to allow free flow of water and improve the sanitary condition of the area. The Deputy Governor, who was delighted with the people's participation in the exercise, presented them with a token to further motivate them. The people who were glad with the Deputy Governor's initiative promised to give more cooperation for such exercise. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
Islamic scholars in Borno have stressed the need for enhanced understanding and unity among the various religious sects and people of other faiths. This came to the fore at the 13th annual Ramadan lecture organized by Borno Radio Television Corporation in Maiduguri. Amina Fidi Ahmadu was there for NTA News.
Borno State Governor, represented by the Secretary to the State Government, Usman Jiddashwa, said the religion of Islam and propagation of Islamic knowledge have flourished over 1,000 years, stressing that the emergence of Boko Haram should not deter people. Rather, scholars should rise up to this challenge and preach the true position of Islam.
This is also with a view to enhancing greater understanding and unity among the different sects of Islam, as well as the non-Muslims alike.
Representative of wife of the Borno State Governor, Inna Galadima, described the lecture as a step in the right direction, calling on Islamic clerics to dwell more on preaching peace. Shehu of Dikwa, Muhammad Ibn Masad II, enjoined the people to make use of the knowledge gained and live in peace with one another. Convener of the lecture, sole administrator of BRTV, Babakura Abbajato, said the aim of the lecture is to propagate Islam, as Borno is known for its vast Islamic knowledge.
We saw it worthwhile to bring all the ulamas together under the same umbrella, streamline their activities, and then guide them towards, giving a uniform kind of a preaching that does not negate the peaceful coexistence of the society.
Sheikh Muhammad Mustafa, and director with the Directorate of Islamic Affairs, Nigerian Army, Brigadier General Shehu Garba Mustafa, presented lecture on jihad in Islam, while Khalifa Abba Sheikh Al-Amin Banki also presented paper on the need for collective support and care for orphans, widows, and other vulnerable members of the society in post-insurgency period. In Maiduguri, Amina Fidi Amadou, NTA News.
And in the spirit of Ramadan, wife of Borno State Governor Nana Kashim Shettima has assisted widows and destitutes with food items and cash to improve their living conditions. Here is the report. The assistance by the wife of the governor under her pet project Support for Widows, Orphans and Zangaya Pupils, SWOT Foundation, was for 200 widows, 50 of which were wives of the seized civilian JTF. Nana Shettima said the foundation is concerned about the living conditions of the less privileged in society, adding that the support was to make life bearable for them. She thanked individuals and organizations for complementing efforts of SWOT Foundation in its commitment to uplift the downtrodden. State Deputy Governor Usman Mamman, represented by Commissioner for Justice Kakashe Ulawan, commended Nanisha Tima for the noble gesture. Islamic scholars at the event reminded society of its responsibility to orphans, widows, and the indigent to give them a sense of belonging. Similarly, the wife of the governor distributed Ramadan Kareem to destitutes, urging them not to be frustrated by their conditions, but should engage in ventures to fend for themselves. Each of the beneficiaries received 25-kilogram bag each of rice, sugar, and maize, as well as cash, for which they expressed profound gratitude. Those are the stories from Maiduguri. It's back to Joseph in Abuja.
Thank you, Lami. Following the emergence of 8 schools from 80 that participated in the zonal centers for the second edition of the National Institute for Legislative Studies, NILS, and National Assembly Schools quiz on democracy and legislative practice and procedure, the finals have held at the National Assembly complex. Dennis Adegunloye reports that the Speaker Yakubu Dogara was guest at the event.
Standing in for the speaker, Representative Osai admonished the students that what they are participating in is not just a competition, but a learning experience that will give them a sound basis for future leadership.
Today, you want to participate in quiz competition. Along the line, the spirit of Nigerians will enter into you and you will show that leadership that God has destined you to be.
It is instructive to note that all participating schools have so far shown integrity, determination, and a good knowledge of Nigeria's democratic practices and values.
Questions were based on legislative practices and procedures, the Constitution, the past 18 years of democracy in Nigeria, as well as the country's political history and executive, legislature and judiciary relations. School for the Gifted emerged overall winners.
Like, it's so amazing. Like, we worked hard for this and we did it. We did it.
I give God all the glory, and I thank my teacher for his sacrifice and encouragement and advice.
The National Assembly, NILS, and the Secondary Education Board are expected to hold the 3rd edition next year with a view to expansion beyond the Federal Capital Territory. From the National Assembly, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
Governor Ugwuanyi restates commitment to enthrone good governance in Enugu State. Chinyere in Enugu Network Center has details and other stories making the rounds from that zone. Nice to see you, Chinyere.
Nice to see you too, Joseph, and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi has reaffirmed his commitment to involve every sector in the quest to enthrone good governance in the state. The governor made the statement during a symposium on the assessment of a 2-year performance of the present administration of the state. Ijoma Ogweke has details.
The one-day symposium, which has as its theme Good Governance and Development of Enugu State, a focus on the present administration, drew personalities who extolled and scored the performance of Governor Ugwuanyi-led administration in the areas of workers' welfare, infrastructure development, education, agriculture, security, and also made recommendations on areas that require urgent attention.
The Congress urged him not to relent in his commitment and to continue to identify and work with his people at all times.
This is the first time, Your Excellency, that a governor has a secretary to government, a chief of staff from area different from his area. I congratulate you for it. Because when I confronted you with it, you told me that you will appoint people according to their competence.
Governor Ugwuanyi promised no section of the people or sector of government will be left out as long as the resources available permit.
Did I know that was going to be an application for commendations and even a vote of confidence in the modest efforts were made We're making to improve the lives of our people and extend the frontier of development in the state.
High point of the event was the vote of confidence workers in the state passed in favor of Governor Ugwanyi in Enugu, Ijomugweke, NTA News.
The session of the 6th Assembly of the Enugu State Legislature ends. Members of the House took stock of how they have fared these 2 years. Susan Eze reports that the House members unanimously agreed that the House has fared well in the 3 legislative functions.
The 6th Assembly of the Enugu State Legislature came on board on the 8th of June 2015 with 24 legislators. With a record of 23 passed bills and 4 on the process of passage, 24 motions and resolutions, observers believe the House has done well so far. They noted that some of the bills passed, such as the Child Rights Bill, the Private-Public Partnership Bill, and the Criminal Justice Administration Bill, are all of high impact on the citizens and democracy as a whole.
I think the state legislature in Enugu State have enacted laws that are very, that will make a lot of impact on the citizens of the state.
In Enugu State, we believe that the House of Assembly is doing well. They are trying their best within the confines of the powers allowed them.
Democracy, they noted, cannot thrive without active participation of the legislature, both at state and federal levels. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Now let's talk sports now with Ayodeji Makinde.
Elections into the boards of the National Sports Federations are being concluded inside the main bowl of the Abuja National Stadium after delegates from 36 states and the FCT cast their ballots to elect officials for the next 4 years. Scrabble, rowing and deaf sports are among federations which returned their presidents unopposed, while results in other sports federations continue to trickle in.
I emphasize the need for us